Hey everybody, happy January. So I wanted to start this month off by kind of reviewing some thoughts on the new curriculum for the youth that our church has implemented. And just kind of trying to figure out how we're going to help our kids set their goals and maybe our own personal goals, and how we can do what the prophets asked us to do. And I was reminded that when I was a kid, my dad would meet with us once a month and we'd pick something, a goal. Sound familiar? And he would help us work from accomplishing the goal, all the little steps backwards to the very beginning, what we needed to start with. And he'd help us work through what we needed to do to accomplish our goal. And then he'd check in with us and see how we were doing. And once a year, he asked us to do something that got us out of our comfort zone. So as an adult, it's really natural for me to want to set goals and to want to be improving. And I remember once I had kids, I realized I needed to change the way that I accomplished my personal goals. I wasn't going to be able to dedicate tons of time. I could just give like little snippets of time. I remember when I was pregnant with my third, I had a really strong impression that I needed to read the Old Testament. And I was like, oh, that's big. That's a lot. And I had 2 little kids to take care of. And you don't feel super great when you're pregnant anyway, at least at the beginning, I don't. And so I just decided I was going to get out my Institute student manuals, and I was going to just spend 20 minutes when my older 2 went down for their naps. I was just going to spend 20 minutes of study, whether that meant in my student manual or in the Old Testament as I worked through the student manual. And if that meant I wanted to sit and ponder on something I had just learned, it didn't matter as long as I was doing 20 minutes consistently. And that experience has led to lots of little tiny mini things that I like to work on each day. So right now in my life with 4 busy boys, I don't have a lot of me time, and I have a kindergartner, which means my day is cut in half. So I just try and read 1 page from the Ensign, 2 pages from my Book of Mormon. I practice learning the guitar for seriously 5 minutes every day. I practice my Spanish 5 minutes a day, and I have these math books that I'll tell you about, and probably in an upcoming video. I never learned math past like multiplication, and so I have these awesome homeschool friends that have told me about these books, and I just read a chapter every day of these math books. And when I was first considering these things that were important to me, that I wanted to know how to do, I thought, that's going to take a lot of time. But I just reminded myself, like, I'm not in a race. I just want to know these things eventually. And time's going to pass either way, whether I spend 2 minutes doing each of these things or not. Either at the end of 10 years, I'll have these skills because I've spent a little bit of time each day working on them. Or the time will pass and I would have said, oh, that took too long. I didn't put in the effort, and then I won't have the skill. So I just decided it was worth it to me to just do a little bit of something that interests me every day and make sure I make time for my spiritual connection every day. And sometimes there are days where it's just crazy and I'm just going from morning to night and I can't make it work. And that's okay too. But most of the time I can find my 15 minutes to do each of those things for a few minutes. Right now, I don't have a ton of time to exercise, and so I have 2 friends that I meet with twice a week, and we do, a strength training one day and a kettlebell on the other one, and that's what I have time for. But I can't say, oh, I'm too busy to exercise at all, because I know I'll be sad if I lose the strength and the good habit that I think the exercise provides for me. So my neighbor and dear friend sent me this podcast by this lady named Brooke Snow. I have not heard of her, but maybe many of you have. and I'm going to link it in the description box below, where she just talks about the power of those little daily habits. And so we're excited to implement the new scripture study, Come Follow Me program, and the new youth program with helping our kids set and accomplish their goals. What we've decided to do is once a month, they'll pick one and we'll help them work through the steps, and then we'll just keep supporting them in whatever way they need for their specific goal. And then with our Come Follow Me, on Sundays, we just kind of have a meeting for the week where we go over what the week's going to look like. And we just fit our Come Follow Me on the days that we can. And if that means we have to do it all on one day or pick a few to focus on one day, that's fine. Usually it ends up being 3 or 4 days that we're able to sit and have a good scripture discussion. I've also noticed in the Ensign they have 4 weeks of fun activities for families, and then they have little lessons that correlate with each of the weekly readings for that month. And so those have been helpful when my kids have been like needing ideas for family home evening and things like that if it's their turn to teach. So anyway, so that's something that's been on my mind. So is there a skill or something you're really passionate about doing in this next year that maybe feels daunting that you can break down into tiny little daily goals that add up to over time helping you reach a big one? I'd love to know some things that you're interested in learning about or accomplishing this year. So give me a little message below and let me know. We can all be working on our little self-improvements for 2020. You'll notice these next several weeks, since it's January, we're all motivated with our fitness goals. I wanted to start with the spiritual and the emotional and the mental today. And then for the next few weeks, I'll tell you about some new things that have helped me with my fitness goals. So looking forward to the new year and looking forward to keeping in touch with you guys along the way.